How's it going, fellow grumps? Grumpy old gentleman on film, and anyone else who might be listening. This is a special project for our little group here to talk about soundtracks and original scores for films that we've collected over the years. And I'm trying to figure out what the difference is between an original soundtrack recording and an original score recording. I don't get it. Some of the records and CDs I have to show you here say that they are, most of them say they're the original soundtrack, and I think there are only two that actually say original score. So somebody will have to explain the difference to me, or I can look it up on Google. Yes. So let's see what I have here. I'm going to show you my entire collection. I used to have a lot more in my collection on vinyl, and in the last several years, I've been giving a lot of things away, so my collection is a lot smaller. But let's start off here. Probably the oldest record that I own as far as being a soundtrack is Goldfinger from 1964. My favorite James Bond film of all time, the only one that I actually own on Blu-ray or DVD, and just a fantastic score by John Barry. The incredible theme song sung by Shirley Bassey. Nobody else can sing it like she can. Just a wonderful film and wonderful music to go with it. Okay, Goldfinger. Next up, for also from the 1960s, is the soundtrack to Easy Rider, which has so many great songs by great groups. We have Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf. We have The Pusher by Steppenwolf. Now, in the film, a lot of these songs were not played all the way through. They were just certain parts of them were played to introduce a certain scene or a certain change in the dramatic narrative. But the soundtrack is incredible. We have Jimi Hendrix. We have, let's see, The Electric Prunes, two songs by Roger McGuinn. We have, let's see, the Holy Modal Rounders, whoever they were. We also have the song The Weight, which on the soundtrack is done by a group called Smith, which had a female lead singer. And in the film, it's done by the band, and I guess they couldn't get the band the rights to be on the soundtrack. But this was an incredible film that I truly love, and a lot of great music. Now here's a soundtrack, sort of a soundtrack, I guess. All the music from the 1954 version of A Star Is Born, starring Judy Garland, probably her greatest performance of all time, besides The Wizard of Oz. And James Mason was in it. All the music is done by Judy Garland. All the songs from the film. Gotta Have Me Go With You, the incredible Torch song, The Man That Got Away, the entire Born in a Trunk sequence, and several other songs as well. Just a fantastic musical and dramatic performance by the legendary Judy Garland. Very happy to have this. That's a great cover, by the way. Um, Now we have Liza Minnelli and Robert De Niro in Martin Scorsese's New York, New York, which came out in 1977. Now, on top of this one, it actually says original motion picture score. Okay, so it has original songs by John Camber and Fred Ebb, and musical supervisor and conductor Ralph Burns. Now, most of the songs, the singing is performed by Liza Minnelli. And some of the songs, let's see, are older standards like You Are My Lucky Star, Just You, Just Me. Let's see, what else do we have here? Well, most of the rest, we have the fantastic theme from New York, New York, sung brilliantly by Liza Minnelli, but of course it was made into a sort of a radio hit by Frank Sinatra. But Liza was the one that did it first. We also have one song that's performed by a woman named an actress named Diane Abbott. She sings Honeysuckle Rose very well, and she is, of course, at the time she was married to Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro actually sings a few bars of the standard Blue Moon, but the song is finished up by Mary Kay Place, who plays a supporting role in the film. She's not a very good singer, but it's supposed to be funny. But Liza in this film does some of her best work as an actress and as a singer. Now, De Niro was supposed to be playing a saxophone player, and of course he couldn't play, so all of his music is covered by a jazz artist named Georgie Auld, So we have a lot of really great instrumental music in here, as well as the singing by Liza Minnelli. So classic film, New York, New York. All right. Now here is the soundtrack for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which I also have on CD. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's see. Who is the Jerry Goldsmith composed this music? It's a great film in the Star Trek lexicon, and one of the best soundtracks as well. And of course, the theme music for this film is what they use for the television show Star Trek: The Next Generation. Here's another soundtrack that I've had for quite a long time. I haven't played it in years. This is Diana Ross, Lady Sings the Blues, 1972. Where she played the legendary Billie Holiday, sang a lot of her songs, did very, very well. This is just it was a great film, and I understand this has just recently come out on DVD and Blu-ray, and I really would like to get a copy because I haven't seen this in a long time. Diana Ross, she was great. She had the potential to be a great screen actress, and unfortunately, she didn't follow this up with anything even came close. I mean, she waited several years and then she came out with something called Mahogany, which wasn't nearly as impressive as Lady Sings the Blues. And I guess maybe it's just hard for her to find the appropriate vehicle. But she sings a lot of Billie Holiday songs, and she's brilliant, really. Also starring Billy D. Williams and Richard Pryor. Great film. All right, going back to the beach. Okay, this is a long way from Lady Sings the Blues. This is the soundtrack to Back to the Beach, starring Frankie and Annette. This was 1986 or 87, one of the two. Annette only sings one song on this. It's very cute. Frankie sings one song. Then we have other artists like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Dick Dale and the Deltones. We have Pee Wee Herman's. Fishbone, Herbie Hancock. The music in this is actually very good. Dave Edmunds does a song. Surprisingly good for a silly little film like Back to the Beach. The music is actually pretty cool. So, and I'm a big fan. I like this stuff. Here we go. Everybody in the world has the soundtrack to Flashdance. Lots of great dance music on this by people like Irene Cara, Donna Summer. Who else? Giorgio Moroder. Well, Giorgio Moroder wrote the score. Yeah, just really cool stuff on this. I think everybody likes this, right? Sure you do. Here is the soundtrack to a television show, a television western that came out. It was a syndicated TV show called Shotgun Slade that came out 1959 to 1961. Sorry, starring movie tough guy Scott Brady, who was the younger brother of Lawrence Tierney, in a very interesting western that was kind of violent for its time. But what was interesting about it is that it used jazz music as the soundtrack. It wasn't typical sort of standard Western music that they would have used for a TV show of that era. They used actual jazz, and it was very cool jazz, which didn't seem to have a lot to do with the Old West, but somehow it worked. And this music is very good. I found this at an estate sale, and it goes back a long way, so it was in pristine condition. Very happy to have it. High fidelity, right? Here is my only Broadway original cast recording. This is the original recording of Hair, which came out in 1968, 69, something like that. Yeah. So you have all those cool songs like Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In, Ain't Got No, I Got Life, Hair, the movies, the song Hair. It's got, I don't know who most of these people are, but it's got some of the people in the show. It's got Diane Keaton. I'm assuming that is the Diane Keaton. Paul Jabara, Melba Moore. Of course, I know who she is. But the rest of these are kind of people I have no idea who they are. But yeah, very interesting stuff. Hair, the TV show, the movie Hair was just completely different than the Broadway show Hair. Okay. Next up, I have, of course, Saturday Night Fever, which I think everybody in the universe has this one as well. Next, I have the soundtrack, one of my favorite movies of all time. This is That's Entertainment, which came out in 1974, and showcased all of the great musical performances at MGM from the 1930s up to the 19 almost to the 1960s, with all the great stars of that era, all kinds of things that were people like Judy Garland and Frank Sinatra, just great music that you remember from that era. Okay. Next up, I have, now we're in the disco era. This is the soundtrack to Thank God It's Friday, which is a really dumb movie from 1978, but lots of fun, and we all went to see it. And some of the music in this is great. We have people like Diana Ross, Santa Esmeralda, Cameo. We have DC LaRue, and of course Donna Summer, who actually appeared in the film. Thelma Houston, Paul Jabara, Patty Brooks. Um, just a silly movie that Deborah Winger was in it, of all people. Jeff Goldblum was in it. Yeah, well, that was 1,000 years ago. Here is the original recording. I guess this is the original cast, Broadway cast recording. So I have two of those, I guess, um, of Jesus Christ Superstar from the very early 70s, and very, very moving and dramatic music. Let's see, who are some of these people? Let's see, Jesus is played by Ian Gillian, Judas Iscariot by Murray Head, Mary Magdalene by Yvonne Elliman, and I don't really know the other people, but beautiful music, beautifully sung. Okay, and this is a record that I showed in my last movie log, I think it was, or one of my videos. Talked about the movie soundtrack for Times Square. Okay. All right. Now, next up, I'm going to show you what I have on CD. Starting off with from the year 2000, or is it 1999? This is the soundtrack to a movie called Groove, which is filled with a lot of electronic dance music. It's all about these people who are putting on a rave in New York City, which is what they do is they just sort of um, take over some abandoned warehouse and fill it up with electronic equipment, and they make it into a dance experience for one night before the cops come and run them out. A lot of great music, and I don't recognize any of the names of these artists. And the only actor in this that I remember that I heard of was a guy named Hamish Linklater, if that means anything to anybody. But it's actually a cool little movie. Here's a soundtrack to a movie called American Splendor, which is very funny and very quirky. And it's got a lot of old jazz music from the old days, people like John Coltrane, but it also has the classic Marvin Gaye song "Ain't That Peculiar," one of the best Motown songs that ever came out, a very fast dance song, and it has a slower, kind of a dreamy version of that song at the end. "Ain't That Peculiar" by someone named Chocolate Genius. I have no idea who that is, but it's very cool, and that was a great movie, by the way, as well. Now, here we go with some of my Star Trek soundtracks. This is the Star Trek The Motion Picture, the original. Okay, very nice CD. Let's see, Star Trek, Star Trek, Star Trek. Here is probably my number one Star Trek score, and that is from the movie First Contact, which I love this music so much. It's beautiful, and this is by Jerry Goldsmith as well, who also did the original, the motion picture. Just a great film. This is probably my number one Star Trek film and Star Trek soundtrack as well. Here's also the Star Trek 2, The Search for, no, yeah, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Sorry. Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek, I think this is 5, The Final Frontier. Okay. And then we have this kind of a compilation. Original TV soundtracks, The Best of Star Trek, has the original series theme, it has Voyager and some of the other things during the years of the TV shows. Okay, that's great fun. And finally, the two final things I want to show you. I have this. I think I may have showed this before in another video. This is the soundtrack for the American release of the Italian film Black Sunday. Now this is it's on a double bill here with another Mario Bava directed horror film called Baron Blood, which I've never seen, and I've not yet listened to the music. I've only listened to Black Sunday. Now, this is the music for the American version of Black Sunday was composed by Les Baxter, a very prolific man, composer who did a lot of themes for American international films like The Pit and the Pendulum, which I think is his best score. He also did The House of Usher, some of the others, and even some of the Beach Party films as well. He made a whole string of records on his own that were kind of exotic music and easy listening all through the years. Les Baxter. And finally, here is the original soundtrack, original score. It's the score on here from the movie Donnie Darko, which is one of my favorite films. I love this film so much. And of course, there are two versions of this film out. One is the original theatrical version, and the director's cut, which is a little bit longer. And some of the music has changed. Well, not the incidental music. This is not the pop music that they used. They used a pop song, a terrific pop song called "Head Over Heels" by uh, Tears for Fears. And in the original movie, they used a song by Echo and the Bunnymen, that the name of which escapes me, at the beginning of the film. When they made when they put together the director's cut, for some reason they replaced that song with a song by another group, and I can't remember what that is either. But you're not going to hear either one of those on here. You're just going to hear all the incidental music going through the film, and also the version of Mad World, which was used right at the end of the movie and has a lot to do with the plot. So, Donnie Darko. And that is my soundtrack collection. Thank you for watching. Grumps, let me know what you think. Um, Take care.